We have two cars, 100 years difference between them. Today we're gonna find out, do things get better with time? Stick along with us when we cover that. So obviously there's a ton of differences between these two vehicles over the past 100 years, and we'll get to that. But can you even clean them the same way you clean a new car? The short answer is no. But we're gonna show you a couple techniques here that you can use to clean an older vehicle, and that would also apply to a newer one, but don't necessarily go back the other way. So the first one here is gonna be using a waterless wash. As you see, this vehicle, it's not dirty, it's not muddy. It was restored, it's sat in storage for 2 years, but it has that dust buildup, and we need to be able to remove that without scratching this paint. This is single stage paint on these. There's no clear coat. So we'll go through with like a waterless wash. This will break down the dust that's on the surface and allow us to safely remove it without having to use a pressure washer, foam cannons, brushes, things like that. Let's spray it on the towel here. Wipe over the surface. And come through with a clean one here. Just like that, we can safely remove the dust off the fender. Nowadays, we can sit in a garage, spray a product on a surface that is specialized in emulsifying dirt and be able to remove it without scratching vehicles. But back when this car was made, the actual most common way of washing your vehicle, and I'm not kidding about this, was taking the car for a swim through a car wash bowl. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Picture a bowl with like a big bowl with rumble strips going around it, and you drive your car in there to wash it. You know, so Brett, pop up some videos of a car wash bowl just to show people I'm not kidding. Now many of you thinking, we've told you in many other videos, the safest way of washing the vehicle is with water, soap, things like that. And you'd be right, and most of the time it is that case. With a vehicle of this age, there's no seals on here. So any water you're spraying in here is just soaking into these fabrics. So it's just not practical considering the level of dirt that's on the vehicle. This is something that waterless wash can tackle perfectly fine, and we're not taking any chance of getting any moisture in some of these materials that if you get them wet, I mean, who knows if you can replace them, and who knows how well they'd hold up. Not only for the interior, but come up here to the hood. So if you were spraying water into these vents, as you see it underneath the hood here, open this up. It goes directly into the engine. There's open fuses. There's things here that aren't really designed to have water on them. They don't waterproof the cars back then like they do nowadays. So any chance you can have to keep water away from it, you're better off doing that. So for something that doesn't see the elements, it stays in storage, it stays protected, using something like the waterless wash is the safest way of going about it. Another great reason to not pressure wash is this super secret back seat in the back of here. Who would have thought? I thought this was a trunk, and you open it up, seat that's just not covered by the roof. Interesting. I don't really see that in today's vehicles. Maybe like a Jeep, but even then, the soft top will cover the back seat. So this wouldn't handle too well with water on it. I'm sure mold would develop if you didn't wipe it all down. But as you can see, no seals along here. It's just metal. Seal that sucker back up. So for these old tops on these vehicles, this one's been reupholstered, but they're just a fabric with leather stitching going through here. Certainly not something you want to be taking a pressure washer to. If it doesn't just tear right through it, it's gonna put lines in it. So most of the time I would just suggest wipe this down with a microfiber. And if it has a stain or something like that you're trying to really go after, have that conversation with yourself or the owner of the vehicle and see, is it worthwhile using harsher chemicals or full-blown water on this to try and go after that at the expense of ruining it. Now, like I said, this one's reupholstered, so I'm sure it could handle if a bird pooped on it or something like that. We could probably take some all-purpose cleaner and a microfiber and wipe it off. But back in the day, they would use shoe polish to kind of clean these things up. So I think like Kiwi shoe polish back in the day, they would put shoe polishes on here. It would wick moisture away, or not wick, but I guess shed moisture off. So interesting, but you certainly wouldn't use shoe polish nowadays. If you're gonna do this, they'd probably use some kind of fabric protection of ceramic coating type, or like a Scotch guard of some sort would be probably the extent you could go to protect something like this. Honestly, we're just gonna leave it alone because all it is just a thin layer of dust. So we're just gonna wipe it over with microfiber and call it a day on that. All right, now for I thought that was the trunk. Apparently the trunk on these is an actual trunk. So you can see it's a leather trunk that you open it up. Now I'm assuming if you were going through one of those car wash bowls, you would remove this. But if not, you'd have to protect it in some way, shape or form. This day and age, we have leather cleaner conditioners all in one step that you can wipe these down with and clean them, protect them. Back in the day, you would use something like a saddle soap or to clean it, and then like neat's foot oil or linseed oil, beeswax, that kind of stuff to protect them. So different technique. The techniques of the past would still work on this kind of thing. I mean, I've used neat's foot oil to polish or to hydrate shoes, and beeswax to put like a protective coating on leather jackets before. So the old methods would still work here. It's just this is a little bit easier all-in-one product. So this car, made back in the 20s, it was pretty popular having these white wall tires, and that stayed that way for many years. So when they came down to cleaning up these tires, dressing them up, nowadays a lot of people will use a tire shine to shine up the tires, but with this white wall, back then a lot of people would honestly just paint over that white. Or they would try and clean it if they could with soap, but if it didn't come clean, they would just repaint over them. And then this black part, you could shine up with any kind of tire shines. But the tire shine market didn't really become popular until around like the 50s, 60s area. In Stoner, we've been around since, well, 1942, I can show you that on the can. And we, back in the 50s, 60s area, we had something called no rub auto polish, A450, which auto polish used as a tire shine doesn't quite make sense nowadays, but back then that made sense. This was a tire shine. As you see, these labels are pretty beat up. This one came right out of a cabinet here at Stoner. And at Stoner, we really pride ourselves on making things that last the test of time. You won't see us double our brand offering in a year because we really like to work on something for a while, make sure it's right, make sure it's great before it comes out to the market. And when you do stuff like that, you can take a, what is this, 70-year-old can? We'll see. Still working. A lot of times you'd see an aerosol that would lose its pressure or have some kind of leak, especially over 70 years, but still working good. The spray pattern's a little bit different than what we have nowadays. But yeah, here's a closer look at the old style products you'd use. So now on to protecting the paint of the vehicle, now that we have it all nice and clean. Back in the day, the 1920s, when this vehicle came out, that was just when the care for your own vehicle commercialization market started coming out. So some brands started coming out with paste waxes that people would go through with carnauba waxes and wax their vehicle. Nowadays, we still use carnauba wax. We add some polymers to them to add a little more durability to it, or something like speed bead. But then if you want something even more durable, we even have ceramics and a lot more durable products that are gonna do the same protectant job that they would have done back in the day with just a hand-applied wax. So we're just gonna go over this vehicle quick, wipe it down with speed bead, just to put a nice protective layer. If there was that bird poop you saw in the vehicle earlier, that was literally from a bird inside this building. So even if your car is covered, it's not always safe from the outside elements. So just make sure it has a nice protective coating to keep this thing shining, keep it protected. One of the major differences between the cars of the 20s and the cars of today are the materials they use on the interiors here. So if you look at the carpets, I mean, this whole interior has been restored and reupholstered and stuff, but it tried to use mostly period correct kind of materials. The carpets were actually just like a full-blown carpet that you'd probably see in your house, a little bit thinner, but it has a wood floorboards, but I'm not sure if you can lean in here and see the wood on the bottom, where nowadays they're using metal for that, obviously. Going to the seats, I'll tell you what, this seat is comfy, but it's just got springs in it like a like a mattress almost, or like a couch you see at like an older house. And obviously real wood in places that nowadays have fake wood. So now what's different, if this was fabric, original fabric from the day, and you're trying to clean one of these up for maybe a museum or something like that, you have to be super careful because you can't quite clean it the same way you clean a car nowadays. Nowadays you just vacuum it, and honestly we can for this one because it is newer materials. But if you were cleaning an older one, what you want to do is take something like a cheesecloth we have here. You see you can see through it. You would put it over top of the surface that you're going to be vacuuming, and you'd vacuum right through this. It would pull all the dust and the materials off the surface, but it won't suck hard enough to like rip the fibers and suck them up into the vacuum cleaner. So I'm gonna go through and vacuum this car up quick, and we'll move on to the next one.
Don't go all the way to the edge. Get to the underside of my car real quick.
A couple other cool things about these old vehicles. I mean, this has roll-up windows that you're probably familiar with already, but have you seen a windshield that you just unscrew, pop these things out to get some extra airflow? I'm not sure you'd want that nowadays, but while we have this windshield open, but I'm not sure if you can see the gas cap right here, where you would fill that with the windshield closed, obviously. There we go. You would actually fill the gas right there in front of the windshield, which is pretty strange, but if you're thinking about the function of, they need to be able to turn the fuel on and off in these old vehicles. And down here you have a petcock that you would actually turn the fuel off or on and be able to cut the fuel supply to the engine. So a couple other different details. The fuel gauge here is actually just a rolling dial. Right now it's got a quarter tank. You see how they rock the vehicle, that thing's rocking around. It's got the speedometer here where this just rolls. And this sucker's got 41,198 miles on it. I can't imagine doing 48,000 miles in a vehicle. I'm not even sure how I'd shift this. I'd probably, maybe if I'm like this. They didn't quite have the leg room that you have in the newer vehicles. But some of the stuff's kind of timeless. I mean, they have a nice analog clock up in the rear view that you still see in some cars nowadays. Like maybe like a Rolls Royce that still has an analog clock, but kind of timeless there. Put that back. If you're familiar with the Model A, let us know in the comments down below what you think these levers do. See how this one lever is moving on the floor there, where you can just press it? I'm not familiar with driving one of these, so I'm not sure. I know there's a regular horn. We got a siren over here because this vehicle is actually, I think they call it a revenuer's car. So when they would go out and collect tax money or pick up bad debts from people. So it has like a little stop siren here, and it revs up. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below if you know what all the controls are doing in this kind of thing. Is this a choke? I'm not sure. E-brake, shifter, maybe it's a high beams. I'm not entirely sure, but let us know if you do. All right, start with an obvious one here, the engines. We've got a 4-liter engine here putting out 40 horsepower, or a supercharged V8 putting out 680. I'm gonna say things get better with time, at least as far as the engine category. Talk about the differences in materials used between the two vehicles. The Model A, back in the 1927, they started being made, are using steel, they're using leather, they're using wood, and those kind of materials inside the vehicle. Where you move over to this day and age, you have carbon fiber, carbon ceramic, you have metal alloys, plastic, Alcantara, you name it, all kinds of exotic materials being used in vehicles of today. But does that mean that this is better? I mean, some people would argue that vehicle's been around for 100 years, and you're not gonna see today's vehicles around in 100 years. But on the other side of the coin, if you kept this one in a museum and kept it under and kept it protected, just like that one's life has, there's a solid chance that this one's still around. It might need a software update that you are no longer compatible with. That's an area where the computers have added a layer of complexity. But more than just that, some people will say, well, back in the day, those painted vehicles were hand painted. And humans, when they're hand painting a vehicle, would naturally lay on more paint than when a robot can be programmed to spray as little as possible paint to make it as efficient as possible. So if we were to measure these paint depths, this would have 1/10 of the paint than that original paint did for out of factory, just because a robot is optimized to be spraying on exactly what's needed and no excess. Where back in the day, they would just be spraying it until it's covered and make sure that it's covered good and well. Now, of course, in these interiors, we're gonna have a lot more technology than you would in something like that. That car doesn't even have a radio in it, but this one has a full-blown computer system. Now, many will just say, hey, that's just more parts to break, and that is true. You can argue that whether things get better with time, whether it's the convenience of having all these things at your fingertips, or having the simplicity that if something goes wrong, you're limited to what could possibly be going wrong, whether it's including the vehicle or not. Now, also, just as far as durability and lifetime use of these interior surfaces, this steering wheel, as well as the ceiling, the doors, things like that, are Alcantara. And as you can see, this steering wheel has seen a lot of body oils on it, and it mats it down. So this steering wheel is desperate need of a cleaning to get it back into shape, but it's not gonna ever be as durable as like that older plastic steering wheel that's in that vehicle. That's another part that people constantly bring up, that, hey, just because it's newer doesn't mean it's better. It's not gonna last as long. You might have more comfort, you might have more features, but there's a shorter lifespan to something like this. All right, just because I love this vehicle. See, you don't have any 1929 Model A's that sound quite like that. Yeah. What Model A do you know that has rev match? Just saying. With a newer vehicle comes increased performance, and with increased performance, you need additional stopping power. As you see on this vehicle, it has carbon ceramic brakes here, which are a major upgrade and one of the best in the industry you can get for stopping power. But with that, they are a lot more delicate. If you were to spray an acid onto these brakes, you could ruin them very quickly, and just like that, you're out of $15,000 on a new brake set. Now, back in the day when those parts were new, you probably didn't have that same issue because they're a little bit more stout. It's just steel and some other parts. It's not as delicate as a carbon ceramic brake, or if you hit that with a hammer, you're probably ruining it. We promised you we'd tell you what products could potentially destroy the vehicle if not used properly. Now, a vehicle like this, all this paint does not have a clear coat over it like newer vehicles do nowadays. These are just single stage paint. So for instance, if you were to take a white towel and rub it really hard on the paint, that paint, you'd lift it off, you would see the paint color on that towel because it's transferring. There's nothing protecting that other than just that hard paint that's on there. So we would avoid using harsh solvents like tar and sap removers, acetones, lacquer thinners, paint thinners, all that kind of stuff, which is pretty obvious, but stuff that you could use on a clear coated vehicle today. Also, just to be safe, you probably avoid super strong acids, super high alkaline products. They could be used in certain situations if you really know what you're doing, but even then you have to test an inconspicuous area, and if you mess it up, finding parts for a vehicle of this age, it's pretty hard to do it. So you kind of have to weigh out, is it worthwhile chasing, cleaning that one area versus preserving what's left? So we would avoid solvents, high alkalines, low acids altogether, unless you absolutely have to do it for these vehicles. All right, so that's a difference of 100 years time in automobiles. Let us know in the comments down below. Do you think they really made things better back in the day, or are you on team new stuff? Thanks for joining us in this one. We'll see you in the next one. Did you enjoy that video? Well, guess what? We got more of them. There's probably one on your screen right now. Give it a click and check it out.